Why be ordinary when you can be flamboyant? Panchaka Radio. Be flamboyant.
Good evening, and here are the major stories for today. The presidency says it's aware of an audio recording in which Leah Sharibu, the remaining Dapchi schoolgirl held captive by a faction of Boko Haram, appeals to President Muhammadu Buhari to help free her. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, revealed this via his Twitter handle after the recording was exclusively published by online media organization The Cable. According to Shehu, the Department of State Services, DSS, is investigating the clip, and the federal government will work on the outcome of the investigation. Leah has been allegedly held captive for refusing to announce her faith, Christianity. The federal government is to invest 500 billion naira in wealth creation and poverty alleviation, as Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has said. Osinbajo stated this today during the question and answer session of the 58th Annual General Conference of the Nigeria Bar Association in Abuja. He said it was in recognition of the menace of poverty that the federal government rolled out the National Social Investment Program aimed at improving capacity and alleviating poverty. The Vice President explained that the 500 billion naira covers a conditional cash transfer to the poorest citizens, and the government will work with the World Bank for special coverage to determine the beneficiaries. A total of 1,185 pilgrims have so far been transported back home from Saudi Arabia, the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria said this Tuesday in Mecca. The commission said the pilgrims from the Federal Capital Territory and Sokoto State were transported in 5 flights. The Hajj Commission said the 4th flight with 253 Sokoto pilgrims departed at 10:20 a.m. local time, while the 5th flight conveying 226 FCT pilgrims departed Jeddah for Abuja at 10:50 a.m. Over 50,000 pilgrims from Nigeria reportedly performed this year's Hajj. The National Agency for Food and Drugs Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has alerted the general public against the consumption of TL Tanlong and TLC brands of canned sardine. Director General of the agency, Muji Adeyeye, gave the warning in Abuja this Tuesday while explaining that TL Tanlong and TLC brands were produced by Chinese companies identified as Fujian Yongfa Company Limited and Dongshan Dongyi Food Company Limited. NAFDAC, she said, had been notified that the Malaysian Health Ministry on April 20 this year recalled the 2 canned sardine products for failing to comply with the standards set by 1983 Food Act, and also due to the presence of nematode parasitic worms in the product. The Director General cautioned all importers not to import the affected canned sardines into Nigeria, and that anyone in possession of the unwholesome canned sardines should submit them to the nearest NAFDAC office. Consumers are also encouraged to report all adverse events resulting from the use of this product to the nearest NAFDAC office. The Nigeria Air Force says it has trained more than 90 operational pilots in 3 years as part of renewed efforts to reposition the service for effective performance. Chief of Air Staff Sadiq Abubakar disclosed this today at the graduation ceremony of Basic Flying Course 18 held at the 403 Flying Training School in Kano. He said in addition, 27 student pilots were undergoing flying training at 401 Flight Training School, while another 6 students departed for helicopter training in South Africa. According to him, some Air Force personnel are also undergoing various training in overseas institutions as part of commitment to reposition Nigerian Air Force into becoming a highly professional and disciplined force. Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje has signed an executive order of open government partnership as part of efforts towards the fight against corruption, improved transparency and accountability in governance. Abba Anwar, Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, stated this in a statement made available to newsmen in Kano this Tuesday, which quoted the Governor as saying that the signing of the Open Government Partnership was also part of the government's renewed efforts to improve citizens' participation and access to public information. The Governor believes that with the strong anti-corruption institutions in the state, the executive order would help in strengthening optimal performance within the enclave of global best practices, fiscal discipline and transparency. He further said the state government would inaugurate State Steering Committee and Action Plan within the next few days to ensure effective implementation of the order. And former Plateau State Governor Jonah Jang has formally announced his interest and decision to join the 2019 presidential race. Jang made the announcement today at the People's Democratic Party Secretariat in Jos, Plateau State, with party chairman and officials as well as political associates in attendance. In international news, South Sudanese rebels today refused to sign the latest draft of a peace deal with the Juba government that would end a years-long civil war, a setback after recent breakthroughs in talks. President Salva Kiir and the leader of the main rebel group, Riek Machar, signed up to a ceasefire and power-sharing agreement earlier this month. An initial deal in June aimed to end fighting that first broke out in 2013. But Machar and another rebel group refused to sign the latest draft of the agreement, saying the dispute over power sharing and the new constitution had been ignored in the draft. Russia plans to hold massive war games involving 300,000 personnel next month, its biggest military exercise since a Cold War drill in 1981. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said the Vostok 2018 drills were justified, given aggressive and unfriendly attitude towards his country. Units from China and Mongolia will also take part in the exercises at military ranges in central and eastern Russia. The drills come at a time of rising tension between NATO and Russia. Chronic exposure to air pollution could be linked to cognitive performance, a new study in China is suggesting. Researchers believe that the negative impact increases with age and affects men with less education the worst. Over 4 years, the math and verbal skills of some 20,000 people in China were monitored by the US-Chinese study. Researchers believe the results have global relevance, with more than 80% of the world's urban population breathing unsafe levels of air pollution. However, while establishing a link between pollution and lower test scores, the study did not prove cause and effect. The study, which includes researchers from Beijing's Peking University and Yale University in the US, was based on measurements of sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, and particulates smaller than 10 micrometers in diameter where participants lived. It isn't clear how much of each of these three pollutants is to blame. And United Nations human rights experts believe war crimes may have been committed by all parties to the conflict in Yemen. The experts allege Yemeni government forces, the Saudi-led coalition backing them, and the rebel Houthi movement have made little effort to minimize civilian casualties, citing attacks on residential areas in which thousands have died. The warring parties are also accused of arbitrary detentions, torture, enforced disappearances, and recruiting children. The experts will present their report to the United Nations Human Rights Council next month. In business, Director General of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Muda Yusuf, says unlawful extortion, exorbitant charges, intimidation, and other unconstitutional levies affect medium and small-scale business owners in Nigeria. Speaking this Tuesday at the economic conference hosted by Vanguard newspapers in Lagos with the theme, The Impact of Technology Adoption for MSMEs in a Changing Tax Policy and Regulatory Environment, Yusuf said many businesses are overtaxed and wondered what the government is doing about such. According to him, insufficient information available to taxpayers on tax compliance requirements remains a big factor fighting against the growth of MSMEs, thereby creating uncertainty and non-compliance. The Director General also suggested measures to address taxation issues, including a modern structure for MSMEs to tackle tax matter and a tax system that is more business-friendly, just as he urged NAFDAC, Standard Organization of Nigeria, Customs, and other government-owned organizations to consider business owners and bill a levy that will be easy for business owners to pay. In entertainment, thousands of fans are expected to pay their respects to the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, who died almost 2 weeks ago. Franklin's body would be on view for 2 days at an African-American museum in her hometown of Detroit before her funeral on Friday. Detroit, seen as the home of soul music, is treating Franklin's death as the passing of royalty as a week of mourning is being held in the city. The 76-year-old's body will be on public view this Tuesday and on Wednesday at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. Friday's funeral at the Greater Grace Temple is for family and friends only, but Chaka Khan, Jennifer Hudson, and Stevie Wonder are among those due to sing, while former U.S. President Bill Clinton will be among the speakers. And American rapper Snoop Dogg has announced he's releasing a cookbook called From Crook to Cook. The book, set to be released in October, will include Snoop's favorite recipes, including lobster's thermidor and, of course, gin and juice. The 46-year-old says he's taken the cookbook game higher with a dipped and whipped collection of his favorite recipes. This will be his second culinary exploration after the success of his and Martha Stewart's show, Potluck Dinner Party. And in sports, Manchester United manager Jose Mourinho still has the club's support despite Monday's 3-0 home defeat by Tottenham. United has lost 2 of its first 3 Premier League games for the first time since 1992 and 1993, but senior stakeholders at Old Trafford are convinced Mourinho could turn the situation around. Mourinho, who is 55, remained on the pitch to applaud fans after the game at Old Trafford and praised them in TV interviews. He walked out of a post-match conference after defending his credentials following a question about United's defensive problems, insisting he had won more Premier Leagues alone than the other 19 managers put together. The Portuguese last week said he had no problem with United Executive Vice Chairman Ed Woodward amid reports that they have fallen out. Mourinho took over at United in 2016, winning the League Cup and the Europa League in his first season in charge, when the club finished 6th in the Premier League. And in basketball, San Antonio Spurs guard Manu Ginobili has been described by NBA chiefs as a pioneer of basketball after he announced his retirement following a 23-year career. The 41-year-old Argentine, widely seen as the most successful foreign player in NBA history, is the only non-US player to have won 4 championships and an Olympic gold. He's also a 2-time All-Star and was 6th Man of the Year in 2008. Ginobili began his professional career in 1995 in Argentina before moving to Italy. He was selected by San Antonio Spurs with the 57th pick in the 1999 NBA, but didn't join the team until 2002. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver sees Ginobili as a pioneer who helped globalize the NBA and thanked him for a career that inspired millions of people around the world. Tributes to Ginobili poured in after his announcement on Monday, with former Los Angeles Lakers guard Kobe Bryant describing him as a true champion. 3-time NBA champion LeBron James also said it was a pleasure to match up against Ginobili over the years. Regular season, finals, national team, didn't matter, was always a treat. And those are the major stories for today. I am Binta Bhadmus.
Why be ordinary when you can be flamboyant? One Checker Radio. Be flamboyant.